You have a?
Have a twist for you. I have a twist.
Okay.
All right. That was interview number 1. So you're going to interview number 2. Right? Right away,
Okay.
I want you to introduce
Yes.
yourself. Introduce yourself again. Try to keep it brief. See,
Yes.
akuje live tumuone yake. Yeah, I wish she could, but her TikTok does not allow her. We'll work with the voice. It's okay. So I want you to introduce yourself again one more time. Try to
Yes.
brief it up. You go. Keep the confidence. Keep the confidence as it was. Let me hear what you have to say. Introduce yourself and just start with I am. Assume
Okay.
that you're at the interview panel and you've
Okay.
just sat down and you've just been asked to, we just introduced ourselves as a team. I know it's your
Yes.
time, and then I ask you to introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. Once again, I am 27 years old. I am a graduate in Bachelor of Commerce, major procurement and supply chain option from the University of Nairobi. I am a driven player, team player, commended for boosting ratings by implementing changes and coaching staff. I have excellent negotiation and contract development skills. I would say I am goal-oriented, lady in customer experience, and I would also say I have a passion in customer service. That is my brief, Nyawe.
That's okay. That's okay. That's all right. That's all right. You may introduce the other companies, but
Okay.
briefly. But briefly. Or if
Okay.
you don't, the interviewer will lead you on. But
Yes.
overall, you're so good. And what I really loved is the way you introduce yourself is your confidence. And then I also love the fact that you're taking time to think through what you're saying. You're taking time to think through. I can tell for sure that you're thinking it through, and I can tell that you're really prepared, which is good, which is really, really good. You did very well.
Yes.
So now, imagine hata turudi hapa kwa introduction, because you did it well. You just killed it. Okay, okay.
Yes.
Agreed, agreed. I just wanted to get you off that whole session. So we agreed that you can introduce the other companies, but
Okay.
just briefly, and you can
Yes.
just briefly just say what you did. Just briefly.
Okay.
You don't have to give the roles.
Okay.
However, it depends on what job. Let's assume that you're here for a procurement officer position, right? So that
Yes.
means you should be able to expound on procurement a little bit
Yes.
on what the rest of your work experience, but more on procurement.
Okay. Good morning once again, everyone. I am 27 years old. I am a graduate in Bachelor of Commerce, Procurement and Supply Chain option from the University of Nairobi. I am a proactive and self-driven individual, and I love cleanliness and neatness. I have experience in customer service and procurement. In the next 3 years, I desire to pursue my profession as a procurement officer. I am eager to take up any position within the Department of Procurement. I have had a chance to work at the National Council for Population and Development as a procurement intern. Some of the roles I undertook was assisting in coordinating procurement activities, which was in strict compliance with Public Procurement Act. And for the procurement department, we always worked hand in hand with the finance office as well as the Director General's office. I also assisted in procurement planning, and I also helped in preparation of evaluation reports and drafting of contracts for the successful bidders. So when I say drafting of contracts for the successful bidders, this is after we have gone through the whole process of procurement, where we put the announcement. For example, if we needed to purchase maybe office equipment, we have put the advertisement out there on our website. We have had bidders come forward. We have vetted them. And once we have a specific supplier who has won the bid, and then we draft for them the contract. And then finally, I would say we also helped in I also helped in preparation and reviewing of bidding documents to procure goods, works, and services. I end at that, Nyawe.
Okay, all right. I didn't hear customer service.
Yes, I think I left it out because
Yeah.
at this point, I am trying to focus more on procurement.
Okay. I think
Yes.
customer service, if you can just touch on customer service, just slightly touch on customer
Okay.
service. And also, now
Mm,
that I listened to you keenly, I once more, yeah, I think
mm,
the lady who mentioned the eyes, yeah, there are too many eyes. That's true. Avoid the
okay.
eyes. Avoid the eyes. You can just let it flow.
Okay.
Challenge.
Yes, slightly. Yes.
No, I
Other than
know. Telephone.
okay, let me mention briefly. Other than working as a procurement officer,
Mhm.
I have a vast experience in customer service. I have worked as a Tcash compliance officer at Telcom Kenya. I was also an administrative assistant at Paprika Limited. Here I helped to respond to emails and calls that assisted in facilitating communication in the business. I ordered and outsourced office equipment. I foresaw professional and personal calendars for the directors, as well as provided general administrative support, such as scheduling of meetings and making travel arrangements. Currently, I am at Checkups Medical Center as a customer service executive, and here I assist in keeping current on market product trends. I follow up with clients to ensure they receive their results, to ensure that they are satisfied with our services, as well as monitoring performance metrics such as customer experience surveys. I leave it at that, Nyawe.
Okay, all right. The reason why your intro is long is because also you have a vast experience, which
Okay.
makes sense. It makes sense. We'll work on that together.
Okay.
We'll work on that together. We'll work on that together. However, you
Yes.
did very well. I would be comfortable with someone, be
Mm,
comfortable with you over someone who's not able to introduce themselves. I'd rather complain and say that it was longer. It's okay. It's better
mm,
longer
mm.
than lack of confidence and much, much, much less words. So we'll polish through that, but however, you are good. I love your confidence. I love that you introduce yourself. There's passion. You're passionate about what you do. So are you comfortable with that session? We can take it up after.
Yes, I am.
All right, all right, all right. So do you have a query? Any other issue that where else do you have an issue at the interview? Presentation etiquette, I think you're good.
Um, the question:
Yes.
what are your strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah.
Um, while answering that, for the strength, I think it's easy. Um, for example, if I was to answer that question, I don't have a
Yes.
definite answer, but I would concentrate it. For example, if I'm preparing for an interview,
Yeah.
I will just assume that this question might be there, and so how I prep for it, how I answer my strengths, I answer it in terms of my skills, maybe
Okay.
relating to the work I've done. So,
Okay.
for example, I would say maybe in the line of customer service, I would
Yes.
say I am very good at doing follow ups
Okay.
to ensure that clients are satisfied.
Okay.
I would say maybe in line or in relation with procurement, I would say I am a good negotiator.
Okay.
And then I would also say I know maybe Nyawe, you understand most of my relation is with customer service because most of the experience has been with customer service. And so
Mm.
I would say I am patient and understanding, and maybe give an example of if I am dealing with a client or I'm receiving a call with a client who is not impressed or is disappointed with our services. I first of all empathize with the client to just let
Yes.
them know that I totally understand the situation they are in, then maybe proceed to offer my apologies and then try and sort them out and ensure that I call them after to ensure that they are
Okay.
satisfied, they are okay, and
Yes.
once more just apologize on behalf of the company. So I
Okay.
would say at least with strengths, it's not so hard. You
Yeah.
answer, you look at yourself, you answer with the skills you have, and you try and match them with job. I mean, the experience you've had with jobs. But
Yeah.
now, when it comes to weaknesses, of course, the weakness should not be per se in a negative way,
Yeah.
but I don't know how to answer that per se. I'm not so confident in that question.
Okay. All right. When someone asks you at the interview to give your weaknesses, you don't go and give away negativity. No, it's a positive thing that you turn it around into a weakness. For example, you would say, I'll use one of the examples you gave. Let me go with farm. Let me say you're too firm. So if you're too firm, what do you struggle with? If you're too firm, you struggle with letting people go against the policies. So you're kind of firm. That's one of your weakness. If I go with what concentration on one thing at a time, yeah, concentration on one thing at a time. Yeah, it's a weakness. However, I want you to think about this. When you're giving a weakness, ensure the weakness that you're giving this employer suits that job. Do you understand what I mean? If you say that
Yes.
you struggle in doing one thing at a time and that job needs you to multitask, outright you lose that job. So the negativity you give, or rather the weakness that you give, ensure it suits that job. If I was to say that I'm very firm, I fit a HR position. Why? Because you're meant to handle policies. So if you're firm and it's a weakness, that's what they're looking for. If you're to go with what weakness, let's look at what you guys gave and look at where it applies. You're okay. Let's say you're a workaholic. I think workaholic is okay, but be careful of what organization that you're telling that you are a workaholic. There are industries that encourage, and I think most, not most, let me just take some industries encourage work-life balance. If you work with basically NGOs, they will insist on work-life balance. You know why? They want you to be ready to handle their projects. But if you go with the workaholic, okay, sijui kama itakaa negative. If you're going in for production or manufacturing and you tell them that you're a workaholic, that's exactly what they want. But if you go to probably a company like the UN, don't go telling them that you're a workaholic. It's negative. It's negative. Let me look at what else you guys have shared. Yes. Someone else says that you mentioned delegation. All right. If you're taking in a position as a manager and you tell the interviewer that you struggle with delegation, then you lose that job. Because as a manager, part of your role, or rather, not part of your role, as a manager, you have to delegate. So clearly it shows you're just an employee who's supposed to work on your own. So you need someone else to come in and manage you. That means if you're struggling to delegate, that means you cannot manage lots of people together. So before you give this negativity or other weakness, think about how it's going to affect that job, right? So in the case she's looking for a procurement job, she could say that multitasking is one of her major weaknesses. What was your weakness?
I didn't state any.
Okay, in this case, which one would you state? This is procurement. Procurement needs you to be on toes all the time.
Yes, I would say I do follow-ups to the latter. I never leave anything unresolved.
Okay. Should that weakness be? Yeah, you can also state it that way, that you do make follow-ups, eh? I
Mm,
think that's a positive. That's a positive. That's not a weakness. That's positive. In the procurement department, you have to be very firm.
yes,
Procurement, especially procurement,
yes,
supply chain, you
yes.
have to be firm. If you're gonna meet deadlines, you have to be very firm.
Mm,
And especially if you're going to be handling drivers,
mm,
their employees, and especially the delivery team, you have to
yes.
be very firm. So they need someone who's very firm on policies. That would suit you. That would suit you. Workaholic also, because if you work in the dispatch, you have to work many long hours, many
Yes,
long hours. I'll give you calls at night and tell you, sijui gari imefanya nini. Hmm?
yes.
Sijui, oh God. Sijui gari imekwama wapi. It's crazy. And then you have to
Mm,
be able to take in a lot of pressure. Those are the key things. So if you give a negativity that does not suit that job, you really
mm.
have to think about the negativity that you're giving. If you give one that does not suit your job, you're out. You're out. Sorry?
Thank you. I'm noting them
Karibu
down.
sana.
Mm,
Oh, bado unazichukua. So the point here is for you to understand the negativity so that you don't give a negativity that you need a negative and then it doesn't suit that job. You have to ensure that the negativity fits that job. That's the reason, that's what they're looking for. So you try use the positive and turn it around using Maria's words. Office assistant, yes. They have to be very patient. Cleaners as well, very patient. You guys get it. You guys get it. Oleria, do you get it?
yes, I do. Kabisa, kabisa,
Yeah.
kabisa.
Kabisa,
I'm glad
kabisa,
I asked.
kabisa.
Mm,
I'm glad you asked too. All right. So, how do you respond to the question? Or rather, okay, let me say, what are the questions that you can never? This is to you and to us all area. What information should you
mm,
never share at the interview? This is to all of you. What information should you never share at the interview? Information that should never relay or ask or even ask at the interview. Someone is saying previous salary. Another one is saying personal information.
but
Okay, bad mouthing, previous employer. Agreed. Let's go. Keep going. Yes. Single matter. If you know someone in that company. Age, religion, marital status. Agreed. Family life, bad mouthing previous employers. Sensitive information about your previous company. All right. Keep going. Why you left the previous employment. If you're asked, agreed. Never say that you have a side hustle unless you're keen on how you'll defend yourself on that. Right? That's something to think about. But I think all that is dependent on company to company. It's all company to company. There are companies that will encourage you people having a side hustle. There are companies that will disqualify you for having, I'm being honest. I'm not pretending. I'm not here to pretend with you guys that is doing any, and I'm not here to praise anyone. But let's just be honest and speak as it is. Most companies will not hire you when you have a side hustle. Ukweli ama uongo? Tuongee ukweli.
really,
Ukweli, they will not hire you. Why? they would think that most companies, and that's why such information is, you may have to keep private, all right? You may have to keep private because you don't know who you're telling. Number one, out of interest, you could be pursuing the same thing as them, or rather, your business could easily blend with their business, right? And you get some info or something from them. Number two, no, I got disqualified for saying I have a side job. Agreed. Yes, you will. It costed me a job last year. Yes, it will. It will. Again, the major issue with you having a side hustle is nguvu. Nguvu na time ya kukuja kufanya kazi kwao unatoa wapi kama uko na side hustle? And then number two, let's be honest. Okay, I feel like I'm going to be a bit negative, but it's okay, it's fine. Employers want people that they can frustrate. Kweli ama uongo?
Very true.
Yes, let's just be honest. They want people that they can frustrate, okay? So if you have an option, why would I hire you?
Yes, yes, yes,
This is
yes.
scary.
Let me give it to
Yes.
someone else.
And they'll give it to someone else that they feel that they desperately need that job. So, if you ask me, keep your side hustle to yourself. Yes, keep your side hustle to yourself because most employers, and sometimes it's not just the employer, it's just a manager within the team because most people leave employment because not because of the employer Z, it's because of a manager somewhere. So there's a manager who may not be very happy about you and what you're achieving. Then that's why someone said personal information also. You should keep it to yourself because you don't know who you're giving that information. They use it against you. They always say that what people don't know about you, all right, it's safe with you. Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
and they'll never hurt you with what they don't have. So personal information. So I hope sichomi. Hechazo wenye mko hapa tunachoma ama hatuchomi? Yes. So if you ask me, don't give such information. All right, and to go over what I have. So what you should never disclose is what you guys have said. Do not disclose that. Plus, I think depending on where you are, what country or which county you come from, those are personal information. You don't have to give, not unless they insist. Of which I don't know why they would insist, but I don't think they should. They should ask you to share that. Your marriage, if you're married or not. I don't see how relevant that is, but it depends. It depends job to job because there's some that may ask you that to just the reason why they ask if you're married is why. The reason why they ask is because they're trying to judge if you're free will, because sometimes they want you to work longer hours. Sometimes they want you to work longer hours, and sometimes if you're a lady and you're married, that will cause issues at home. So they prefer to work, and sometimes they prefer to work. There are jobs that they prefer to work with people who are not married. It depends. So such information, when they ask, try. I don't know how you're going to bring it about. Some employers will, okay, interviewers will consider it as being what? As being rude, as being rude. But that information, I don't think anyone should disqualify you for such information. If you're married, that doesn't count. However, some jobs will be comfortable to hire someone who is married. Why? Because they feel that you're settled. They feel that you're settled and you can easily sit and that you're calm and keen on the job. You're calm and keen. So it's a 50-50 chance. It depends on what part of your life you are at for you to decide what information to give. Yes, yeah. That's what someone is saying. Lois is saying if they want to see if you're settled. Yeah, true. Someone says, Sheila says she was denied work because she's not married. Yeah, this is information that you don't have to give. Someone saying, I'm new here. Karibu sana. All right, where you left your previous job, we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that. So the rest of information is your religion. Your religion should never come at the interview. Disability, all right? Disability. How old you are should not come in the interview. Yeah, and many others. And basically, what you're talking about is personal information. But what you can never ever give is any information about your previous employer. Never give that. Liwe liwalo, usiwahi sema sijui alinifanyia, mshahara ilichelewa, sijui nilifanya sexual harassment, those kind of things. You not get a job. It's just like when you interview a house help in your house, akuja akwambia, ai, huko hiyo nyumba nilikuwa nalala sijui saa 9. Huko mzee. The way they speak. Yeah? What do you have such a house help? You're not, because the minute she leaves your house, or the minute you
No.
leave that house, she'll go downstairs, or rather outside, and she'll give all the information about your house. So it's the same thing as an employer. They don't trust you. They don't think that you have proper integrity, and that will disqualify you. Sawa.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what was the other question that you want us to discuss? How much do you earn? Is it how much do you earn, or how much you're looking for?
No. How much you are earning in your previous job?
How much did you earn in a previous job? I don't think it's a challenge to give that. You should just give that. Give the information, and do not
Okay.
lie. Okay, you don't have to lie, because some employers will ask you for a payslip. Okay,
Yes.
some employers will ask for a payslip. So imagine if you lied about how much you earned, then clearly you lose
Can't
the job.
hire you. Yes.
Yeah, they won't hire you. So to discuss salary, if the question basically they'll ask you is what's your expectation, right?
Yes.
They'll ask what's your expectation. There's something I missed.
Tamimi, what I have learned is you need to
Yeah,
do research on
yeah,
the salary of the position you are applying for,
yeah,
what the salary in the market is.
yes.
For example, if it is customer service, for example, majorly the range of salary would be maybe 25K or from 20 to max 30, but at least with better companies it
Mm,
goes a bit higher. So definitely do, because you can't go for a customer service interview and quote 90K. That will just
mm,
maybe depend on the company. I think maybe if you do a research,
mm,
because yeah, there could be a company that is paying 90K for customer service, but then maybe it's an international company, or it's one of the established companies. But
yeah,
I think doing that research helps one to become more realistic. So
yeah,
definitely doing research on the
mm,
salary, on
yeah,
what the market is offering, and maybe
yeah,
research of the company.
mm,
And then for me, I always try
mhm.
to put a markup of 10 to 20K
Okay.
from what I'm earning, maybe currently. And then that one again definitely is dependent on the position and the company. But then I was told that although sometimes it can be a disadvantage, but I was told that sometimes it doesn't hurt to just quote a higher price if the interviewers or the employers really like you. Sometimes even if you give them a higher quote and they would like to employ you, they will give you what they are offering, and then to see if you're open to taking it. So for example, if I go for a procurement job
Mhm,
and I say my salary expectation
mm,
is 60K, for example, and maybe at the moment I'm earning, let's say, 40,000. So that means for me I have put a markup of up to 20,000, and maybe let's say the employer is offering 50,000.
mm,
Definitely if she offers me that 50,000, I am taking it, because at the end of the day I was still earning 40, so I've still gotten a 10,000 raise,
yeah,
instead of maybe underquoting, being afraid to be rejected because of overquoting, and I underquote and say I am okay with let's say 42 to 45,000, and their budget was 50,000, they will definitely give me that job, and at least I would have still gotten a raise of maybe, because if you tell them 42 to 45, an employer will always look out for themselves, so they will give me the 42. So I've gotten an increment of 2k, whereas in as much as it's still an increment, I could have gotten a chance of getting the 10,000, or maybe there's someone who I would have asked for the 60,000 and would have given me as well. So
Yeah.
yes, one point, it can be a disadvantage, but the other point, it could also go, it could be a favor to us.
Yeah.
But also, finally, what I also just recently learned, actually this one I learned when I went to Mr. Omolo. For someone like me personally, who right now I'm looking to pursue procurement, I know that I've not really had a chance to practice it.
Yeah.
The only practice I've had per se is as an intern, unlike Ching, who I've had at least if she were to go for another interview, at least she has experience. So maybe again, maybe where I am currently, maybe I'm earning, let's say 40,000, for example, and so maybe sometimes being ambitious, I'm going to this interview for procurement, and in my head I'm like, hey, right now me I want to earn 70k, and then I go and say I want a salary of 70k.
Yes.
The employer might be willing to give me this. However, when they're looking at my CV,
Yeah.
yes, I have experience, but I have experience as a procurement intern, not
Yeah.
really per se, maybe as an officer. So that
Yes.
means I would really have to justify, because if there's me who is interviewer A, and then there's interviewer B asking for the 70,000, but they have
Yeah.
actually practiced it. Maybe they have 2 years experience. Then there's definitely no way I would justify me being the best fit in comparison to the other one. So I would also say sometimes we also need to be realistic. That's what I learned. For me, who is now pursuing procurement, to really practice it, I have to be willing to start at a lower price,
Yeah.
a reasonable lower price, and then build on my CV and experience. And then
Yeah.
even if it is after 6 months or after 1 year, then now I have that confidence to maybe
Yeah.
ask for that 70,000 or whatever amount it is. Yeah, that is how I would respond to that.
Good job. Good job. If you ask me that question about what is your expectation, just like Oleria said, just like Oleria said, is that number one, fanya research. Sawa, fanya research yako. In fact, not number one. Number one is, but where we make mistakes is accepting an offer that you know very well that cannot sustain you. Kaa chini uangalie, hii kazi nimepewa, naishi Imara ama naishi wapi? Naishi Thika Road. Sema naishi ni wapi? Ruiru, naishi Ruiru. And kazi iko Hurlingham. Na umepewa 20k. To be honest, yes, you're desperate, you need that job. But do you think that job will sustain you? Will that job sustain you? All the transport will be used on the road. Sindio? Si lunch, si transport. Number one, angalia mali job iko na mali unaishi. First thing first. Number two, kaa chini, fanya mahitaji yako yote chini. There's nothing as frustrating as accepting a job that cannot sustain you. Because number one, you've signed a contract. And the reason why most people quit at some point, you find that you've hired someone that's so good, and they've worked for about a week or two, or a month or two, and they quit, is because they accepted an offer that cannot sustain them. Because under niseme 250, let's say take 50, but you have rent yako tuseme ni 20k, sindio? You earn 20k. At the same time, transport ni kitu kaa 10k ama mafuta. Aya, uko na mtoto wako shule, sindio? Let desperation not push you to accept an offer that you know very well will not sustain you. Kuna mtu mwingine atakwambia chukua hiyo kidogo ukitafuta ingine. jiangalie vizuri kabisa, because there's no point of taking a job that will not sustain you. In fact, you will be super stressed. Why? Hawezi tafuta extra money because you're tied up Monday to Saturday. Pesa ingine itatoka wapi? Unahitaji kulipa rent na unafanyia mtu kazi from morning hadi jioni. Unafanyia mtu kazi. In fact, hata ile kazi utafanya haitakuwa up to standard. So there's no point of accepting an offer that you know very well you cannot sustain. Number one, kama unajua tu hiyo budget yenye umepatiwa haiwezi, waambie tu live, but then be very honest with them. Be very honest with the interviewers and tell them, mama HR, mwambie, I would honestly want to take up this position, but looking at the budget, just make them understand. I live in Ruiru, and this company iko up a hill. I need to spend this much money. I have rent to pay, right? I have rent to pay. I have children who are in school. Make them understand, and then tell them, my budget is this much. So if you can get to my budget, then for sure nitafanya kazi. But do not be too desperate to accept an offer that you know very well you're not sustain. Number one, umejiharibia. Number two, waste time yako na waste time ya mtu mwingine. Hakuna haja. So fanya budget yako. But everyone needs to know a budget that you can work with. Fanya budget yako. Kama una budget yako leo, fanya budget. Kaa chini. Hesabu tu pesa zako. How much money do you need? Even if you're married, how much does your husband contribute? How much do you contribute to the family? How much money is needed? Sit down, do that math. After umeandika chini, ongeza transport. The only thing utaongeza pale ni transport ama mafuta. If to be honest, that job cannot sustain those two, don't accept it. Do not accept it. I would rather utafute kazi ingine. Heri ufanye kazi ingine yenye inakusaidia, inaweza kusustain kuliko kuchukua kazi kama hiyo. You'll be frustrated, you frustrate the employer, you frustrate everyone in your family. There's no point. Sawa? So ukishaangalia, number 2, fanya research yako. Before you go for an interview, research on the company. All right? And sometimes because sisi HRs, we're very good at calling people at night and saying, interview ni kesho. Or interviews in 2 days, and then you ask for locations, you're told kazi iko sijui wapi, piga kona, nenda, ukifika pale, if there's someone who's very good at such information, is the receptionist. The receptionist is the right person to ask. If you don't have time to research on the company, just go in, talk to the receptionist, ask them, awa kina Ruth awa. I'll be told I'm attacking. Ask them, muulize vizuri, hii kazi neza quote pesa ngapi? Ama mwenye alikuwa anafanya hii kazi, sorry Oleria, nimekurudisha, ulikuwa umepotea. Muulize, hii kazi inaweza kuwa inalipa pesa ngapi? Nitakwambia Soja, but avoid kuuliza Soja. Never ask Soja. Uliza Soja any other information about the company utapata. Like mwenye kampuni ni nani, such information you can ask, but never ask. If salary, you can ask the receptionist. Or if you have a friend in that company, feel free to ask, it's okay. But so that when you go in for the interview, and if you don't have this time, there are so many apps that will give you. Valeria, you can mute. Kulikuwa na echo lakini imeisha. So I was saying, if you don't have enough time to research on this, it's okay. Work with your budget. Work with your budget. If they ask you, how much are you willing to take? Aya, kaa chini, fanya budget yako. This is the much I can take. If your house will run at 50K, your budget is 50K. All right, ongeza transport pale juu. Kama transport yako, na sometimes lunch. Na usiweke lunch pesa mingi, maybe 50, pesa kidogo tu. Fanya budget yako. Na pia lunch si lazima, unaweza beba kutoka nyumbani, si ndio? Ongeza hiyo kwa budget. Because inamaanisha unaongeza unga zingine na nini. Ukishafanya budget yako, unajua ni pesa ngapi. Work with your budget. So, but remember, so take the budget na ongeza pesa kidogo juu. Alafu, kama unajua, there are several apps that you can look at. If you look for an office administrator, they'll tell you the range towards such a position. Receptionist, the range towards such a position. Like I had someone who was asking about Glassglow. Is very good at that. Sandatsila anasema cleaners. I agree. Cleaners ni wazuri pia kupeana such information, by the way. Yeah. Ukifika pale. Lakini Soja atakusema. Soja atakuuza. So atakuza receptionist atakupatia information vizuri sana, lakini first pima mtu sura. Pima mtu sura. Kuna mtu mwenye atakupatia udaku vizuri na kuna mtu atakupatia udaku vizuri. Ukikosa information, it's okay. Ingia kwa interview yako, go sit, tell them your budget, but never accept a job that you know very well haitakuguide. Sawa? Usichukue job vizuri sana ukijua that itakufrustrate, cause hauta survive, hautafanya kazi na amani. Alafu, so if let's say tuko kwa interview, umeulizwa what's your budget, or rather how much can you take, wapatie budget yako, combine hiyo budget yako na kile umeambiwa pale na receptionist, ama ni soja, ama ni cleaner, ama out of your research, ama the current range of salary for such a position. Work with that and share that. Then remember, always be comfortable to tell them that you can negotiate. Sawa, that's why ukichukua budget yako, ongeza kitu kama 10k ama 5k, depending on what position is. Hata unaweza ongeza 50k. It depends on how much you're getting, because kama kampuni inalipa kama 800, si ndio? 800k, unaweza ongeza 100k. If you're going for a job that's giving you about 20k, ongeza ikuwe 25. Kama ni 40, ongeza ikuwe 50, 60. Depends on, angalia kazi vizuri. So give them your budget, and don't be afraid to be honest with them at the interview and tell them that your budget cannot agree. It's okay. That is the point you negotiate. I prefer people or candidates who are very honest, will come and tell me, Esther, naweza taka kuchukua hiyo kazi, lakini to be honest, vile mimi naona hiyo budget iko chini kwangu. So me as a HR, what I'll do, I'll go back to the directors and tell them, I found this good candidate. She's very, very good at her job. However, she is asking for this much. Don't be surprised, they'll call you back. All right? Usiji downgrade ndio uweze kuchukua. I've just seen somebody who said the brother went to a company, akaulizwa pesa akasema 65k. Now the position was paying 120. Was it 120? Huh? Yeah, they'll give you that. They'll give you that. But a good employer will give you the correct rate. Also, one more thing that I want to bring about is that most companies have some guidelines towards the salary. And that's why nasema kuuliza receptionist ama cleaner ama nani ni muhimu, because you are within a certain range. If you're within such a range, everybody knows that receptionist anapataga this much, admin this much. So inakuwaga rahisi kupeana such information.
Yes, Nyawe, I'm here.
Okay. So I'm posing a question at the interview. Let's assume you're back at the interview and the interviewer is asking, do you have any question?
Yes.
Do you have any question for us? Please respond.
Yes, I have.
You do.
In the event that I am successful, when can I hear back from you?
Agreed.
And then
okay,
I would also ask, I don't know, okay, you will critique me after this, Nyawe, but normally I ask, maybe let's say it's a panel of 3, and then I pick on Miss Nyawe. I say, Miss Nyawe, if you were to rate me in this session out of 10, how would you rate me?
Yeah.
I normally have 3 questions, and then the last question, I just depending on how the interview is or how the interviewers are, if you're not, because kuna wale pia wanakuanga too uptight, so maybe you don't want to, unataka to keep it professional, ishi hapo, but kama ni wale wenye wako at least a little bit easy, I can just look for as a general question to maybe tu ya kuwa challenge, maybe I ask another member of the 3. I ask them maybe Mr. Omolo, if you were to, or let's say Mr. Omolo is also a HR, I will ask Mr. Omolo to take me through a typical day of being a HR, something like that. Or maybe I would ask, maybe the other one, if you were to be an author of a book, what title would you give your book? Just something like that, because I was told also, at the end of the day, the employers are also just they're also just human beings like us. So I mean, unawa challenge tu kidogo ku create to your rapport ama ku ease off the tension or something like that. Hivyo ndo ningerespond, Miss Nyawe.
Tuseme ulikuwa kampuni fulani na uko na MD hapo kwa interview, yaani unamuuliza tu ni kitabu gani unaweza andika na title itakuwa gani?
Kama ni MD na ina depend, kuna mtu anaweza kuwa ni MD but slightly maybe anaka friendly ama approachable, I can risk it, naweza muuliza. But kama ni ule mwenye maybe anaka uptight, then I will not, pia nisichome sana.
Yeah, I think unafaa kuona ni nani ako kwa interview. Pia unafaa kuangalia vile kama uko na haraka, kama uko na haraka ya kuend ama umepatiwa chance. But above it all, what you need to know is that is your time. It's just like wakati DP alikuwa na time kuwa preso, ilikuwa time yake. He had to take all the time that needed. Same thing as you. You've gone for an interview. It's your time. It's okay to ask all the questions then. Just be careful on the kind of questions you ask. Yeah, be careful on the kind of questions you ask. Don't just ask any kind of a question. I'm not uncomfortable with what you just said about the book. I'm not uncomfortable about that. But try to keep the conversation within. If okay, fine. Soma interviewer wako kichwa, mwangalie vizuri uone. Huyu nikimpeleka off topic kidogo, anaweza jibu. Because there's someone that, especially probably CEOs and they have no time. And some of them are different. They'll be comfortable to answer you very fast. But kuna mwingine atakuangalia na kuambia thank you very much for coming. Disqualify you. I think kuna wasoma mood pia. Kuna wasoma mood pia. Atasema huyu anapenda kupiga tu story, atakuja hapa kwanza kupatia story watu. Kuna mwingine ataichukua positively aseme huyu at least ana think off the box. Unajua huyu anapenda kusoma. I think soma mtu. Just like they say, a joke is a joke. But to some people, a joke is not a joke. A joke means vita. Kuna mtu unaweza joke naye akuwekelea mangumi.
True.
So, you must always have a question when you go for an interview. Usiwahi jaribu kusema sina swali. Hata heri ulize hiyo Olderia, uulize ni kitabu gani ulisoma. It's okay. Hata heri muulize alikula nini sapa jana. But never ever leave without asking a question. What they're trying to say is, kama unaweza create a conversation. Simply that. And also level-headed. The kind of questions you ask are very important. They're trying kukusoma wakupime waone kama unaweza fit. Do you fit the team? Do you fit the team or not? Interviews are not tough. The best thing you can do is enjoy the conversation. Just flow. The worst you can do is tense. But then it's okay to tell the employer, but then a tense, I'm tensing. Can I take a second? Any interviewer, but a good interviewer, because pia interviewer inadepende, a good interviewer atajaribu kukusaidia ku calm down. And by the way, let me remind you, never ever take coffee ama chai ukienda interview. If you are offered this at the interview, always say no. I am okay, thank you. Number 2, ukifika kwa venue, usiwahi fika kwa venue ya interview 1 hour before the interview. Fika 30 minutes tu. Fika ukae huko nje, it's okay. But kuingia kwa venue, it's 30 minutes to the interview. Nobody wants a visitor who comes to your house. Imagine umeita wasee kwako Sunday. Alafu mnafaa kukutana saa 10. Mtu anaingia saa 5. Why? Why? So 30 minutes to time is okay. Sawa. When you get there, you don't go, by the way, yeah, this happens a lot in Kenya. Tukienda interview, ina turn inakuwa ni kama tumeenda hapo kumeet watu. Ni aje poa. Me I'm so and so. Don't, by the way. Kama mko wengi, like meitwa like groups of 50, 30, 20 and above, it's okay to socialize, but be careful. Remember, that could be part of the interview. They want to see your behavior ukiingia pale job, kama utakuwa mtu wa kurukaruka from one person, umeuliza kutoka mtu wa kwanza to the last person information, uliitwa na nani? Those kind of questions. If you go to an interview, settle down, sit down, don't take anything that's offered, waambie asante. Don't go with a book and read. Don't go perusing your phone throughout. Umefika uko kwa simu yako since sijui saa ngapi hadi saa ngapi uko kwa simu unafanya. Don't do that. That's negative. Get there, keep quiet, sit down and wait. Wait. Let me just accept truth. Okay. So get to the interview, sit, don't interact a lot. It's okay to say hi to the rest, take a seat and keep quiet. But don't go interacting with each and every person and asking them information that you don't need. It's not correct. Someone is watching. They always say like, Big Brother is watching. It's okay to take a newspaper and read, but I think avoid their newspaper because they buy their newspapers for their own use. So utafika pale interview, unaanza kuomba sijui nini. But if there are magazines, it's okay to take and read. Sawa. And by the way, they will be watching what magazine you're reading. They will be watching. Every interviewer, mali yako, anakuwatch every move. They're watching. The interview starts from the gate. The interview starts from the gate. Hadi umalize. Mpaka utoke hiyo gate, you're being interviewed. Sawa. But the worst of the worst, and I've seen this in Kenya, is mnafika, wengine hata wanasongesha vitu, wanakaribia wengine, sasa mnaanza kulizana, mnaanza kupiga story. And you're like, mlienda interview wapi? I've seen this happen a lot. It's not right. Get to an interview, keep quiet, stick to your corner, and wait. Wait for your chance. Finish, thank the receptionist, thank the interviewers, receptionist, and walk. And don't walk out as a team. Walk out alone. Peke yako. Ulienda peke yako, hukuenda na group. Sawa? And be careful who you interact with hapo kwa interview. You never know nani ametumwa kupata information that you're not going to share. Number 2, pia, wanaangalia the kind of company you keep. Sawa? So let's not forget about this vitu kidogo kidogo tu zenye zinaweza kudisqualify. Alafu acha nikwambie, at the interview, the best interviewer is the receptionist. Is the receptionist and the soldier. Hao ndio watabaki kufikisha information. Nakumbuka yule msichana alikuja hapa hivi, alikuja kutafuta charger. By the way, usienda kufika interview unaanza kuuliza kama kuna charger, ni charge simu. Please keep your phone in your bag kama imezima. Ukitoka nje ukatafute charger zako ukacharge. Wengine ukijua kutafuta charger ni charge simu, ati unauliza receptionist. Do you know what's going to happen after that? Hii information itafika. Everything that you do. Alienda kukaa choo, huyo tulikuwa tunaenda choo tunampata amekaa huko. Those nitty-gritties, those etiquette. They'll not ask you questions about the etiquette, but they will be watching and observing you. So tusipoteze kazi simply because of some things zenye tunaweza avoid, si ndio? Haya, uko na cable. Yeah, that's what they ask. Yeah. Simu si important your time. You'd rather go in and ask the receptionist questions about the company. It shows that you're thinking about this job. Si kwenda kutafuta charge au charge simu. Ama uende pale uanze kuplay loud vitu loud alafu unaanza kucheka. Don't do that. Ensure your phone is on silence. Sawa? Yeah. Oleria, still around? Ati Soduku, I don't know what you mean.
Listening.
Are you still listening? Yeah. So,
Yes, very
what
much.
do you feel about? Are you? So I know we haven't done this session, by the way, for Larry and for you. This is not how our interview goes on. We look at the speech from the beginning to the end. Number 2, we go through the questions like we did. The candidate will also ask, like Olere would have asked me lots of questions through it, but because I'm talking to her and talking to you, then it's going to take longer as it is. So as it is, Olere has not gotten much. I'm going to have a one-on-one session with her after this. So Olere anajua uko na maswali, si ndio?
Yes.
So when you sit down, we shall look at them. Ndio tumalize hii session yetu pamoja. This was just
Yes,
for you
kabisa.
guys to involve you in what we do at the interview preps.